Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. What a Friday in the NFL. We haven't had a blockbuster like this one in a long time. I read all the reporting and I saw everything that was going on, but I believe this was just Jerry's soap opera of 2025 and cannot, I had to double check that Adam Schefter name 58 times to make sure it wasn't at Adam Scheffler, like a million times to make sure. I'm like, is this real? I think everybody said that yesterday around whatever time in the afternoon that it happened, where everybody's going, this isn't real, right? This can't be real.
Yeah, I mean, the first initial report came out, midday, where it was like, oh, the Cowboys might be listening. And I thought, okay, that doesn't mean they're trading them this offseason, because I had let it be known. I thought they were headed for a divorce, but I thought it would be after this season. And my God, I did not think it was going to come together that fast on the same day that report came out.
No, I didn't either. I'm surprised. I want to go through all of it because I think it has so many ramifications. There are very, very, very few players that I think outside of a quarterback that could really alter the landscape of the whole thing, especially in our conference, because he stays in our conference. But he is up there and maybe one of them, like where this is somebody that, in my opinion, changes the outlook for Green Bay immediately and changes the outlook for Dallas, I think, for a period of time. Like, I think this is I know what he said, and I could spin, I'm going to listen to his spin and make fun of it more than anything. But, in the end, this is going to torpedo them this year. I will be shocked if they turn around and have an above 500 record. And for Green Bay, I think it turns him into an instant contender, overnight, assuming he's healthy. This is world changing in the NFL. And at his age, to trade somebody like that, I don't know what they're thinking. I just honestly don't know what they're thinking. I thought we talk about this for months because we're like, he's never really he's going to sign him. We made fun of him for not signing him early enough because it costs them too much money to do it. But they always end up signing these guys. This one went to an 11, and I can't believe that he actually pulled the trigger a week before the season to pull the trigger and trade him away.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about probably all of the layers here, like whether he should have been, whether he's worth it, etc. This all really, I just can't believe this all boiled down to him hating an agent, it seems, right? Like, that's what it seems like the big sticking point was that for some reason he didn't like a star player wanting somebody that's their job to do, to negotiate a contract. I'll hear literally all the arguments, whether he was worth it, whether he's the player you think he could be, whether it was worth it for Green Bay, all of it. But this sets a really bad precedent for, I think, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys organization, that you let a premier pass rusher, edge rusher, go to another team in your conference, by the way, and he didn't make it out of his first contract with you. When does that happen in the NFL anymore, right? I can't think of another player like this, that this has ever happened like this.
No,
where they get traded before the end of their contract.
This is pre free agency, basically, but the Reggie White deal. This is what this actually feels like. Reggie White left Philadelphia, oddly, ironically, went to Green Bay and kind of changed everything for Green Bay. And I do find it a touch ironic that the last time the Cowboys were in the playoffs, they got roasted by Green Bay. That was the last one they were in. To trade him, and it makes them considerably better, and that seems crazy. If he had pulled this deal off and he sent him to, I don't know, Jacksonville, or they got Hendrickson back and they'll deal with him for a year and they traded him to Cincinnati, something like that. I still would have been perplexed that they would trade somebody of this level at this age, of that. He is, in my opinion, if not the most disruptive defensive player in the NFL or best defensive player in the NFL, he's in the discussion about it. And he's only 26 years old. There's nothing that's not crazy about this. And the other part of it is he pays everybody. We make fun of him for waiting too long to pay people, but he does pay everybody. So I don't know what this is about. like all these things about, well, I had a verbal agreement with you, which means nothing in a situation like this. It feels very old fashioned, like it's a gentleman's agreement. You're not living up to it. And he's like, I just want my agent to talk to you. And he's saying things like, the agent told me to shove the deal up my butt. And like, did he really say that? Because you also said you weren't speaking to him. So like, what is it? And, he's completely lost his fastball, over the last couple of years, where there's a lot of word salady things going on. We know he's in charge. So even if anybody was sitting there telling him, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, he's not listening to them. He probably, I'm going to go with, this got personal where Jerry got offended that the player just didn't take what he wanted. And I'm trying to make, like, don't you see what I'm doing for you? This is disrespect to me. I'll show you. I'm going to ship you off to Green Bay. He's in a better situation now than he was entering this season. Oh my God. Like, this is, what a disaster, for them. And like, for us, it's great, but like, for what? Because there's a layer to this that's like, oh my God, like, these everything is so close in this league that when one of the teams in your division does something nuts, it's like a victory. Like, I want to throw a party that they did that.
I've never seen Commanders, Giants, and Eagles fans all like be so united so fast off of that trade yesterday. Like all three divisional teams are like, he did what? Like, he did it? He actually moved them? And it was, the memes were flying yesterday. Yeah, I just can't believe they made that move when they made it. And then Jerry had the balls to say, oh, well, who knows? We might trade those first-round picks to get help this year. And I'm going, dude, stop.
What are you talking about?
Stop talking. Like, just like take those picks and use them at this point with the way that your roster is built at this point. He's crazy, man. Like, I knew things were on the decline with him, but we've entered like a new territory with an owner / GM at this point. And I don't know if you can do anything, but I feel a little bit sorry for Cowboys fans today because your player in his I said a little bit. I didn't say a lot. But you now have a guy, once again, you had a premier pass rusher traded before his first contract was up. That's like impossible in today's league at this point if he's really, really good. I'm baffled at this. I'm baffled at all of it. And honestly,
who else is available? Is CD Lamb available? Because I would happily talk to you about him too. If you just want to move on from your guys.
So here was one other thing that I didn't really understand yesterday. That Schefter report comes out about noon, I think, when it came. Oh, they might be listening to other teams. Yeah. If you're Jerry and you are the one that has said, I love the soap opera and I love the drama of it, why didn't you just come out and say he's officially available for a trade and have everyone talk about your team for 3 days straight on the long weekend of where's Micah going to go? Because then you're going to get teams that go crazy and offer these trades for you. Like, we could talk about whether the 2 first-round picks and a player was good enough for him, but I think if you had just said, auction's open, boys, who wants them? You would have had everyone talking about the Cowboys for 2 or 3 or 4 days straight at this point.
I don't know that they would have actually done better than this deal. Like,
oh yeah, I think it's debatable. Yeah.
I'm going to get into the Luka Micah thing in a minute. Like, I think everybody knows that if Dallas truly put the flag up and said Luka Doncic is available to be acquired by your team, that the deal that they ultimately got from the Lakers might have been topped by somebody else. Like, that I believe that. Like, I don't know what they were thinking when they traded him and not put out there who wants him and just see what offers roll in. There was too many teams that didn't know that it was happening. That's bad. This Micah thing's been simmering for a while, but I will say this. Knowing you have to pay him the number you're going to pay him, and Green Bay just did. 2 first-round picks, albeit on that team, figure to be low first-round picks, but like 2 first-round picks. And listen, I'm a massive nerd. Kenny Clark's a really good player. Like, that's not a throw-in. Like, he's a Pro Bowl caliber, really good player. He ain't him, but he is a very good player that they got. So, do I think they would have gotten a better deal had it been no holds barred, everybody show up? Yeah, maybe. But that is that's 3 first-round picks, because that player is a Pro Bowl player. That is 3 first-round picks they got for him. And the other team has to pay the whatever number it's going to ultimately be, which starts at 42, right? Whatever the number is going to be. So from that perspective, I actually don't think they got a bad deal or they got fleeced or anything like that. I just think you're crazy trading somebody like this at this age. I think it's a bad message to everybody in your organization. I think it's going to torpedo what's going on here. It almost screams this is a one and done coach now. The other stars are going to start throwing their hands up going, what is going on here? Dak may want to go. CD may want to go. Like if things go wrong, and they might, that's the danger of doing this. But I will say this for the trade itself. I don't fall into a category of thinking they got a bad return. I actually think if you're going to do this, which is I don't agree with doing it, but if you're going to do it, I don't think the return they got was bad at all.
Yeah, but I will say this, though. Had they opened that up and it was, let's say, the Panthers came forward and said, we'll give you 2 first-round picks, that could be 2 top 10 picks. Like, the difference there of those 2 firsts with the Green Bay's 2 firsts is legitimately different, though. That's where I'm kind of landing here. They should have opened this thing for business, and you could have cherry-picked a bad team instead of Green Bay, who, if Jordan Love is healthy, is an MVP candidate, right? So I think that was where I think the mistake was.
Right. I mean, if I'm Dallas, I'd rather ship him to Cleveland. Like, that's what I would rather do here than to leave him in the conference or send him to a place where it's going to be weird for a couple of years. But who knows? Like, what we don't know what's going on with all these trade conversations is he clearly wants this contract. Was he open to taking it from anybody? Because that's the part you don't know. Like, nobody's giving up 2 first-round picks and a frontline player for a guy who's on a 1-year contract that you have to now go through this song and dance with him to get him to sign. So that's the part you don't necessarily know. And clearly he's wide open to Green Bay because he immediately signs the extension. So there probably was a limitation of where they could do it. And I just say, I really don't think the return they got was terrible. I actually think they did fine on that. I take the position of you don't do this with like maybe the best player in the NFL outside of a quarterback at his age. You just don't do things like this. The message it sends to everybody else in your locker room, it's like you can't fix that. Like they know how good this guy is. I'm sure some of those players had a problem with him. He had a podcast and he talked about them and he's the big star. So I'm sure there was some jealousy or whatever going on in the locker room. That's anywhere someone like him is going to be. But it's in the end, they're going to look at this and go, we're not better because of this. And you can't sell us that we're better because of this. And if we have a terrible season, it's going to be blamed the whole year. And then who's next? Really, who's next? And if I'm CD Lamb, I'm going, oh man, like I'm not, come on now. I didn't sign up to be on some 5-12 team. I'm not interested in that.
No, exactly right. Like this is the other side of this too. I'm not saying there was a great time to trade Micah Parsons, but a week before you've got to open the season against the Super Bowl champs in Philadelphia sounds like about the worst time you could have traded him.
100%.
Like that's the other side of this too is, well, if you wanted to trade him, the draft did already happen. Like you could have made that happen and gotten your picks this year, right? If you really thought negotiations were that bad with this guy right now, or traded him at the beginning of training camp, right? Where you opened it for business if you actually wanted to move on from him. This is like, Dallas just somehow picked the absolute worst time to do this in the worst way possible too, because here's the other side of it as well. Jerry even said, we offered him 40, I think it was 40.5 million was the report that came out. And what did he get? Like 42 from Green Bay. So like 1, they weren't that far off. 2, did you not want to talk to the agent over $1.5 million? Like, I just don't understand where that was coming from. There's just so many layers to this once again that is ridiculous, and I can't believe we got to this point.
We all know he loved playing for Dan Quinn.
Yes.
So yeah. I think for the last couple of years, since Dan showed up, there's been this underlying, if Micah hates it in Dallas, he probably would at least consider wanting to come here. The reality is he was never going to be in the prime of his career free and clear to make that choice for himself. They were never going to allow that to happen. He was either getting traded or tagged or signed. There was no letting him walk and making his own decision. And then so we never would be put to the test of would he have just signed here if he had the opportunity to do it? So let me ask this. Would you have wanted the same deal yesterday? 2 first-round picks and some unnamed frontline starter off of this team to acquire him 9 days before the season starts. Would you have wanted that?
Yes. Yeah, I would have done it in a heartbeat. I know that would have left them with very few draft picks next year, but
yeah, and I know that they've spent a lot of these assets, but I also know that they're trying to recoup a couple of them because they do value them and do believe that there is a young core that needs to be built here, and they're not trying. I know that we're in the weirdest spot ever. We know we can win right now, and we want to do everything we can. And at the same time, they know that for the distant future, they need to rebuild the whole roster with a lot of youth. So they're Adam Peters is skating in really narrow territory to try to figure out how to balance all of that right now. Something like this would basically throw away the idea that we're going to try to win in 2028. It's let's maximize this window literally right now and deal with it when the time comes to pay Jaden.
Well, and it's the same. It would have been the same kind of mindset with Green Bay, right? You would think your picks are going to be late first rounders. So most likely they weren't going to be like these top 10 impact like players if everything went correctly, right? And I know you can't assume that, but your assumption would be these would be in the late 20s or mid 20s, whatever. And it's not going to be these game breaking type players. They would be starters if you nail the pick. The other side of this, though, is Micah is a special in that his first contract wasn't up yet. He's only 26. This isn't you trading for 30-year-old Trey Hendrickson where you're going to have to kind of eat it on the back part of the contract. This is somebody that would be in their prime when his next contract is up, right? Like he's going to be 30.
With health, you have him for 5 to 7, 8 years.
Right. And so because they also don't have a premier player at that position and they might use that first round pick next year on that player, you can really justify that they would have given up basically an extra pick and a player to overpay to fill that position, but you'd be filling that position with an established, really, really good player. Yes, I would have done that, but I'm going to guess the Cowboys said, yeah, if you guys want them, it's 4 first-round picks, not 2 first-round picks. That's my guess here, but I would have done it for yesterday's deal as well. I just don't know who that one player would have been.
The Packers were in a very unusual position. They have a very good team. There were 2 things that worked against them a year ago. Jordan Love got hurt in the opener and then was kind of up and down with injuries throughout the course of the year. And I'll never forget when Sam Fortier wrote the piece, and I want to shout out him later because he wrote the piece about Jim Irsay that was breaking news yesterday about all the ketamine use and all that stuff that was going on. Anyway, they did that piece earlier that I really liked that was about luck in the NFL. Like, who was the luckiest team? The unaccounted for, these drops happened. This guy, like these guys had this tipped ball go their way, like the things that, you cannot account for that happened. Washington was one of the luckiest teams. Green Bay was, by that metric, the unluckiest team in the NFL a year ago with all either drops, whatever, the minor things that change games that you just can't quantify for or put a stat on. And they were the unluckiest team and were missing their quarterback for long periods of time and never really had him healthy the whole year. They still made the playoffs in one of the toughest divisions in football, where week 18 featured 2 teams that had at least 14 wins. Okay. And they still made the playoffs after all of that. And they're in an incredible position to do something like this. Washington's the oldest team in the NFL by virtue of Von Miller, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler. A lot of guys, like that number could flip next year depending on what the roster looks like and how many of those veterans at that age actually come back. Green Bay's the youngest team. Green Bay's the youngest team in the NFL right now. The only person they're paying now that like Jair Alexander and Kenny Clark are both off of their roster essentially is Jordan Love. And who else? Like, I think there was, who's the linebacker? They got the pass rushing linebacker. I forgot who it is. His name's not something to me. They're paying him. That's it. That's it. Oh, they're paying the safety, the former Giant safety. They're paying him too. That's it. Like, that's what they have. The vast majority of the rest of the team is young drafted players that they have. They have the youngest team in the NFL. They can do this and not sweat the first round pick part of it. Like that's rough for anybody, because come next year, they're going to be sorry they don't have it. And then the year after that, they're going to be really sorry they don't have it. But they are equipped in a way to deal with it because of the age of the team right now, differently than most in the NFL.
And on top of all of that, they actually, I think, did a kind of like a big brain move here. They made this move before it clearly became, that he was available, right? Well, there's 3 other contenders in their division, right? Like, say what you want about the Bears, but we all think they should be better this year. We know the Vikings, if JJ performs, they'll be good. And we know the Lions should be very good as well.
They are good. They've got the best roster of the group. So yes, of course.
And so I think what happened here is Green Bay went, let's get them and make sure those 3 don't get them, because you could have made an argument that all 3 of those teams might have made the movement there. And so all of a sudden you take a huge swing like this, and all of a sudden I think you're the favorite to win the division now.
Yeah. Well, they have, I think it's the toughest division in the NFC for sure. Like, it's definitely tougher than the NFC South, and it's definitely off of what Dallas just did. It's inarguable that their division, there's a harder road in that division now for all 4 of those teams than there are suddenly. I think the NFC East is very competitive, and I've been talking about this for a while. I think the Giants, I don't know what their record's going to be, but they're a better team than they were last year or the last couple of years. They're definitively a better team. So there's no cakewalk easy out. It's never with us with them, but like there's no cakewalk easy out with them this year. It's different. This Dallas move, I think, changes the perception of them overnight. Like, frankly, I don't know how you overcome something like this and turn into I had them being extremely competitive and maybe make the playoffs, but probably not winning the division, to off of this yesterday going, this is going to land like a torpedo in that locker room. Good luck having an over 500 record now. Like, so their division just got exponentially tougher. And I'll go back to originally the point I was trying to make. Like, outside of a quarterback, there are very, very, very few people that tilt a league or tilt a division or tilt anything. I think he's one of them, if not essentially one of the only ones that actually does that outside of acquiring a really top tier quarterback. So I do think they are the favorite in that division now. It's an interesting one. Lions off of what appears to be a hangover of 15-2, 2 new coordinators. Like us, did not really have a great showing in the summer. They're acknowledging that now as they head into the season. But I look at their roster and I go, they'll be fine. There's just too many good players on that team, too many explosive players. Hopefully they won't have the bad luck with all the injuries. They'll be good. How good? Maybe not 15-2 good, but they'll be good again. The Vikings, we really don't know with JJ. I trust KOC. I trust their defense. You don't know. You don't really know. Not until he plays. You don't know. So I don't see 14-3 again with them. You don't know. And with, if I'm the Bears fans, they're so triggered so quickly now. But that quarterback who just runs around for his life all the time, Micah Parsons is going to have 6 sacks a year on him. Like, because he gets hit twice, he's going to sack that guy 3 times a game. Like, that's like, count on it. Like, to have somebody of that level chasing around a guy who doesn't play on time, good luck with that, Bears fans. Good luck that he showed up there.
Yeah, I was going to say the Ben Johnson offense that is nothing but timing. Good luck with that with Micah Parsons 2 times a year. Like, have fun with that one. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more that they make this swing, and then all of a sudden you look at all 3 other quarterbacks, and it's like you already just have an edge up on all of them. I mean, the one argument I will make here is, who are the best pass rushers in the league? I think it comes to mind, the 3 that got paid this year, right? TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, right? Those are the 3 that got paid this offseason. You'd probably put them in the top 5 of edge rushers. I will say this. Look at all 3 of those teams. The Browns haven't been able to get off the ground with Deshaun and all those other moves and stuff. TJ Watt remains on a Steelers team that goes around 500, makes it into the playoffs, gets bounced every year. Max Crosby, a very, very good player with Vegas, but same thing. They haven't been able to get it off the ground. This is different in that Micah's joining a team that seemingly has the quarterback situation figured out and all that. Yes. But I will say, edge rushers, they are amazing at times, but in some cases, if they're the only player that you really need to pay attention to, sometimes you can mitigate that. I'm not saying he's not going to make an impact. That's not what I'm saying here, but I am going with that position. We have seen premier players go to teams and not exactly lift them into another upper echelon is what I'm getting at.
I do think this is a league/conference tilting move because of where he went and who it's for. And I think this is a fair ask. Like, who's the best quarterback in the NFC? You could argue it's Jaden. Like, you could honestly argue that right now. I think he's the best one of the NFC East. I will hear out the Jalen Hurts defenders who go, yeah, look at our guy's record and look at, he just won the Super Bowl. Shut your face. And I'll hear that out. Like, that's fair. But like, from a pure, who's the most dangerous, effective, multi-dimensional quarterback in our division? I think it's us, and maybe in the NFC. Like, that's a distinct possibility. Okay, if it's not him, who is it? I could argue it's a healthy Jordan Love.
Sure.
Like, I could argue that. Like, I haven't seen enough of Penix to know what he's going to be. When Dak is healthy, he is really, really good, but can he stay healthy? And everyone has always, seen that he doesn't really ascend the team above where they want him to do it. No one's going to say it's Purdy, even though they think he's really good. No one's going to say it's Stafford, even though everybody knows he's good. No one's going to say it's Goff, even though they know he's really, really, they look at the product and they go, well, he's a good player, but like, come on, between the system and the stars they have, it's not really him. We don't know enough about Caleb. We don't know enough about JJ. Baker's really, really, really good, but nobody is going to say he's the best quarterback. You could argue the best defensive player in the NFL just joined the team with the best quarterback in the NFC. It makes them a favorite overnight, and they've got this young team, and they've got still room to spend, and they got room to grow, and they can eat a couple of first-round picks and not sweat it. Look out. Like, this is a major, major altering, tilting thing. And I'm hoping that he isn't up to speed in week 2, because that's a quick turnaround to go to a new team and then have to get acclimated, hasn't really practiced much. I don't think you're going to have seen, we may be catching a break there. You're not going to have seen the best of him until later in the season, I think, for Green Bay.
Thing is, though, he's so athletic that he can literally run circles around an offensive line. So even if he is only out there on a pitch count, I'm still worried about him. That's what I get with him. Like, remember, I don't forget what happened in that last regular season game last year, where I feel like he was wrecking havoc so much on the Commanders' offensive line that they pulled Jaden. Like, I think they wanted to play Jaden a little bit longer last year. But remember, that first drive was a disaster because of him. So even if he is on a pitch count, I'm worried about it, but I'm with you. We're not going to see the best of him in week 2. There's just no way he's going to be that much up to speed.
Now, and while I think he makes Green Bay extremely formidable, more than they already are, and I projected them to be a playoff team anyway, and could have made an argument before they ever made this trade they're going to win that division, based on you don't know about JJ, you don't know about Caleb, and the Lions would have to replicate what they did a year ago to kind of hold them off. I just think it turns them kind of into this formidable thing. That said, I am so glad he's out of our division. And that's really the best part of this whole thing, that we don't have to face this guy twice a year for the next 5 years. You can't replace someone like this. I will, continue to stand on. I do think they got a pretty decent return if you're going to do something like this. But those 2 first-round picks, there's practically no chance that either one of them will be as an effective player as this guy. This is why you don't trade people like this, not at this age. So sayonara. I am so glad the NFC North has to deal with him for the next 5 years, and we'll play Green Bay when we play Green Bay, but he's not our nemesis any longer. This is an enormous, enormous win for us today.
Yeah, and it's a short and long-sighted move, right? We don't have to deal with them this year. We don't have to deal with them whatever that next contract extension would have been for 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it may have been. Just a ridiculous, ridiculous move. And I still go back to, I can't believe this really kind of, came to blow because of you not wanting to deal with an agent. A little ridiculous that this is what it's essentially boiled down to, I think.
Yes. Whatever the reasons are, they're stupid.
Yes, correct.
And I read something, it's the New York Post, so I take that one with a grain of salt. They're a legitimate news source, but they're tilted and everything. And but they did have, I saw a piece, and it was it's probably a tweet somewhere from what they purport to be his brother, who said all he really wanted was respect from the Cowboys, and it really wasn't about trying to get traded. And then here this blew up and went this way. This is the danger of what happened with McLaurin. McLaurin wanted to be here. They wanted him here. But the conversations were going sideways for a little while. And then what you don't want is anyone to lose their mind and go nuclear. And fortunately, that didn't happen here. It felt like it was teetering on it a little bit, but it never got to the, what was happening in Dallas, which I was proud of, that this team and this player kept their wits about themselves to the point that they didn't let something like this go down, where all of a sudden he's playing for the Browns. And we're going, why would that have happened here? This the issue that his brother points out, Micah's brother, is, when you're just not respecting us, that's where it went sideways, and that's where the relationship was broken, and then there was no salvaging it. In the meantime, if you read Micah's departure letter, it's, I dreamt of playing for the Dallas Cowboys. It's the only team I loved. I wanted to play with them for my whole career, and it's just, sorry, it's not going to happen. And that's devastating. Because it just means he was 6 years old pretending he was a Dallas Cowboys player, and now he's getting traded from them in the prime of his career when he's tracking to being a Hall of Fame player. That's insane. That's completely insane.
You also didn't even mention the fact that Micah and his party did go back to the Cowboys yesterday after the deal was basically, in place. They gave them a chance to match it. That was off the report yesterday too, was that they went back to the Cowboys, and even, I forget what the word was. It wasn't remorse. It was they went up with hey, do you want to throw this by the wayside and just let us sign here instead of, trading us to Green Bay? And Dallas just said, see you later. That's what the response was. And I think that's actually probably the more ridiculous part about this, is that even though they got all the way up right to the finish line and didn't cross it, they still turned around and said, are you sure you want to do this? Can you sign this contract with us? We'll sign with you if you want to do it. And the Cowboys went, nah, we're good. And that's crazy. That's what I think is actually crazy about the whole thing.
I think Jerry said, no, we're good.
Well, of course.
Let me do a straw poll of all the people in the front office who have no say in anything and have to say yes to everything he says, and say, did you actually want to trade Micah Parsons? And if they're being completely honest, I can't imagine there'd be one professional in that front office who said yes to that.
Right. Exactly right. So, just insane.
It is insane. All right, I'll be right back. Bray Watch the Show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. I do want to talk about, this is now two massive stars in the prime of their careers being traded out of the same city. Obviously, the circumstances are different for both, so they're not compared in that way. And the Micah one feels very personal to Jerry, that he just did this to, I don't even know why. He can really explain it. Both of them, though, I thought, ironically, used the same excuse for one of the major reasons why they did this. The Mavericks, the first thing they said after they traded Luka Doncic was, we're better on defense, and defense wins championships, and that's why we wanted to trade him, because we think this makes us better on defense. Now, the Cowboys said the same thing yesterday. Jerry said this, okay? But the absurdity is Micah Parsons might be the best defensive player in the NFL, so I don't know how erasing him makes you better on defense. It's the most ridiculous argument to try to make, because I'll hear out the Mavericks on Luka's not a great defensive player. Fine. All right. True. Fine. I'll hear you out on that. There is a flaw to his game. Call him fat if you have to. Fine. Fine. But with Micah Parsons, to say we're better on defense without Micah Parsons is kind of a illogical thing to put out there. That said, he did it, and this is true, having gotten ready to play them the last few years, you have to run the ball at him. That's the truth. You have to run the ball at him. They were smaller in the middle and up front. Even when Quinn and Witt were there, we talked about, London and I would talk about this before the games. You've got to run at them. You cannot get into third and long situations. That's where they kill you. You can't win. You can't live. He would say you can't live in a situation like this. They will kill you. But if you get in third and manageable, or you just run the ball at them, you can at least manage the game or avoid what are the disaster plays with them, especially with Micah on the field. And we talked a lot about, you run right at 11. You always do it. Run right at him. So I know there is some truth in that today. I just found it ironic that they're sitting there going, we're better defensively without Micah Parsons, and they used the teams aren't going to be able to run the ball as well at us. That said, 3rd and 5 against the Cowboys without Micah Parsons is totally different now than it was as of yesterday.
Yeah, this was like what they thought was a big brain moment. What NFL teams really do run the ball well? Not a lot of them. Yes, the best one is in your division. Don't get me wrong.
It's coming back. It's coming back. Last year, more teams were getting closer to like 50. Even our team ran the ball a ton last year, and it didn't look like it was going to be a strength for us last year.
I agree. But at the same time, when a game is close and it's the fourth quarter, nobody's running the ball these days. You're putting it in the hands of your quarterback. So I'll hear out that you needed to be better on the run, but you don't subtract one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in the game, to just get marginally better at stopping the run. It doesn't make any sense here. I get it. You get the 2 first-round picks, you get the player back, but at the same time, I'm not going to hear you out when you say, oh, we need to stop the run, and we did it by trading our best defensive player. It's a ridiculous concept.
Yeah. I mean, the Luka one, I still would not have done that. He's too good of a player. He's a unicorn. You just don't get guys like he's your franchise. Like you cannot just do this. But it was true. He's not a good defensive player. So at least that part was true when they said it. I don't know how you're replacing his 30 points a game or his clutch ability. Like they were just in the NBA finals a couple years ago and he was dragging one of his legs around the court. Like, I don't know how in the world you come to that conclusion, but at least that part was true. The idea that Dallas is better defensively without Micah Parsons is utterly illogical, but I will hear out because I've, talked to coaches and talked to our guys like London. You do have to run the ball at them. It is the success pattern against their defense over the last few years, and maybe that changes with Kenny Clark and a different group. I just know their pass rush is not going to be the same, not even remotely close to the same, and it will be interesting to see what because the telling tale will be what the metric is on 3rd and 5 or longer. What is the conversion rate against them? That will be the Micah. That's going to be the Micah tax that they're paying without someone like him or DeMarcus Lawrence or any of these great pass rushers they had, or honestly, maybe the best pass rusher the NFL has seen from that type of position since Lawrence Taylor, and they let him go. It's nuts.
The other side of this too is it's like the flip side with the NFC North, right? Like now JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, and Goff are going to be running for their lives, right? Well, guess what's going to happen in our division now? Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels are going to have all day long to pass, and if you're the Giants, you go, sweet, we've got Neighbors. We're just going to toss it up to him because we're going to have more time for that as well. Like the way that it affects the offenses in this division also is, affected. I also wonder how that defense is going to go. Is Diggs ever going to go back to what he did a couple years ago now? I have no idea if that's the case. Like if the trickle-down effect is going to be wild to follow with that defense now.
Yes. Like one of the reasons why we're very excited about our defense here this year is the corners are really good playmakers, which I think has enabled Quinn and Witt to be very aggressive. Well, you still have to have the players to get there. So like hopefully Luvu screams to me potentially double-digit sacks this year because of the people that are in front of him. Are they going to be able to manufacture a lot of different pressure packages and put these corners in a position to make plays? Well, this is the question you have to ask about Dallas. Yes, if Diggs is healthy and Bland is healthy, it's very good ball, playmaking, ball catching corners. But if you don't have the pressure, good luck with that. And so we'll have to see how it works out for them. I wanted to I've been meaning to talk about this one story all week, but I'm glad I never got to it and that we just landed on it here because I think it applies here. I love Kyle Brandt, the work he does for NFL Network, ESPN, whatever they are now. And I hope that he stays with them, especially on the Good Morning Football show. I think he does. I really think he does. He really stands out. He has really unique takes to me. I really enjoy his work a lot. And he did one a week ago. And I'd meant to bring it up all week, and I think it's now apropos now to ask this question because he asked it. He goes, in watching what the Cowboys are doing, are they a football team or are they just a content company? Because here they are putting out the America's Team documentary. It was outstanding. Don't get me wrong. It's totally worth the watch. It's really, really good. You will learn a lot about them It's really about the beginning of Jerry Jones ownership. It's not really about, now. The last episode is about the last 25 years, like all in 40 minutes of this is where you were, this is where you are, how are you thinking about that? So they don't really go into a lot of all of that. It's really about when he bought the team and the Super Bowl era and the demise of that Cowboys team. And it's really, really, really good. They're in their second season of the America Sweethearts thing, which is the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. We watched season 1 of that. It's really well done. Jerry openly states he does not mind the pain of being a GM and likes having the soap opera. He talks about in this documentary that he's just going to make them relevant 365 days a year. Well, this is a fair ask now, okay? Where does football fall on the priority list for you? Are you the Netflix of the NFL, or are you, quote unquote, America's team on the field? And after what happened yesterday, I don't know that they're telling their fans that they actually care about winning right now. I know they do, but that's not a move that signals anything close to we think we can win a championship anytime soon.
I've been telling you for 3 or 4 years, they're the Chicago Cubs of the NFL. In that, when the Cubs won a World Series, their ownership all of a sudden was like, oh crap, we won. We're not the lovable losers anymore. We have to actually try to win. And to the Cubs' credit, they're actually good this year, just to say that. But I said the Cowboys were a little bit of the same cloth, because what was it every year with the Cubs before Theo got there and got them a World Series? It was, they're just the lovable losers. They're the Cubs. They play at Wrigley Field. We're happy to see them play. It's the uniforms, classic, whatever. Not the winning and losing doesn't really
spend a Wednesday afternoon. That's right. Up at Wrigley Field.
That's right. Go to a day game. No one really cared outside of Chicago about them, but just they were the lovable losers and whatever. Well, then they won, and all of a sudden they had to start worrying about that. And I've always said the Cowboys are shades of the Cubs, except they are not the lovable losers. They're quote unquote America's team. You either are a diehard Cowboys fan or you hate them, right?
Yeah.
And
they're Darth Vader. They are. Yeah.
Correct. And so
the Cubs are the Ewoks. They're Darth Vader.
but the whole thing has been as well. It's Jerry World. It's that they, they make more money off their merchandise than any other team in the NFL. It's all of these factors that just scream, hey, if we go on a playoff run, we still make hand over fist all this money. What does the Super Bowl really do for us anymore at this point? And I've been on that for 3 or 4 years now. Yeah. And I'm glad other people are starting to see it, because especially this offseason where that documentary came out, and like you said, season 2 of the cheerleader thing. The last year, remember the report that we already mentioned this week about tours at the team facility while all the coaches and players are there? That is ridiculous in today's NFL that is even happening. I'm glad other people are asking the questions, because I've been pointing that out for 3 or 4 years now.
When the schedule came out, I looked at it. Dallas is favorable compared to Washington and Philadelphia early in the season. Yes. And then it gets really hard at the end of the season. But I made the case of watch out, because of the way it's set up, that they might have a really deep, not unlike what Washington had a year ago, a really, really good record where they could take a couple knocks late in the season and it wouldn't kill them. The vibes now, and especially off this trade, I don't think so. This isn't going to go well. This is going to go sideways. And I'll be very interested to see how their fans really react to GM Jerry and the state of the team, and whether they're kind of sick of the soap opera and actually like to try to win and maybe keep their stars around, because it's the first time I can remember them doing anything like this. All right, let me take a quick break. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, welcome back. One quick thing. I noticed this story, and I just want to mention it. The Suns are being sued by their minority owners because the minority owners believe they're not getting accurate information about the books and the financial state of the team, and probably want to know, more about where their money is, where it's going, what the value is worth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This particular owner is the new owner of the Suns over the last couple of years, who was one of the first people to raise their hand and try to buy the Commanders. Okay. And didn't get them. And there's PTSD of, where have we heard this story before? The minority owners asking the principal owner to explain to them what's going on, and they're not getting very clear answers. Looks like we dodged a bullet. Okay. It looks, I don't know, but it looks like it because there's a lot of things happening in that story that I can relate to. And he wanted to buy the Commanders a couple of years ago.
This is Ishbia, right? Isn't that his name?
Yes.
Who owns them? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With him too. Remember, he like kind of came out of nowhere about wanting to own a sports team too. That's always a little shady whenever that happens, where like all of a sudden a guy is not sniffing around these circles and all of a sudden wants an NBA team, wants an NFL team, whatever.
Wants anything. I just want a sports team. Yes.
That's always a red flag, in my opinion, especially for someone that hasn't done it before or is not a minority owner of someone else. You also look at the moves they've made too, where like they traded for KD, then traded him out, traded for Brad, then cut him, essentially. They're making some crazy moves. It is very Dan Snyder-esque, so I'm with you. Yes, dodged a bullet, and he always had red flags on my end whenever he was trying to, bark up this tree over here.
One other correlated move that happened in sports last night, our buddy Kyle Schwarber, who maybe most unlikely MVP candidate of all time, had a 4 home run game last night in a Phillies win. His career was almost over a few years ago after the run he had with the Cubs. And then the Nats had him for a year on a not high rent contract. He had that crazy month. Remember that? He had that nutty month.
Babe Ruth. He was Babe Ruth for a month.
A Babe Ruth month. Everybody seems to like him. I was like, keep him around. They don't. He goes to the Phillies, joins that mashing lineup, and then he has these moments where you're like, what is up? And he is I went to a Phillies-Nats game, about a week ago, whatever it was. He's having a crazy season this year. Like, if they end up, I don't know. I think he might actually be in the MVP conversation. He's having a crazy season this year.
He won't win it over Cal Raleigh because that story is so freaking awesome out in Seattle. Raleigh does have 50 home runs. Schwarber has 49 home runs. Raleigh's having maybe the best catching season of the modern era. I don't think he'll win it over him, but the fact that Schwarber's even sniffing him at this point in his career is ridiculous. And Schwarber, you just know what he is. He's going to either hit a dinger or strike out, and that's the modern MLB, and he's actually kind of perfected it.
Very, very quickly. You're very lucky here. You put in my mind to do the Paul stuff again. And we have a really incredible week 1, right? Like unbelievable week 1 in college football. And there's no NFL. So, I got time to not talk about the other football that I like a little bit more. But I will say this is Christmas in August for Paul. Look at the schedule this weekend. That's insane. 1-3 is kicking off tomorrow at noon. They've got another top 10 matchup. LSU and Clemson. Clemson's got this crazy quarterback this year. What a week. Even Vatek's got a big opener this weekend. This is going to be a heck of a weekend for Paul. Paul, I'm ready, Paul. Let's get this started, Paul.
As you know, my sports, temperature has to stop somewhere. It usually stops with college football. That being said, with tomorrow, if you're not in a sofa by noon, good luck with the rest of your day, because if you are settled in, you're watching the whole entire day is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's 11:45 now because it is Lee Corso's last game day. So he's going to do one more headgear pick. I'll be interested to see what they do there. He's been an icon for the sport, and I think like he's had a lot of health issues last few years, and I think I always appreciate when everyone respects their elders, especially in a situation like this where it's so public, and he stumbles over a few words and you could be made fun of on the internet and all that type of stuff. Kirk Herbstreit has just like stood by this guy and been like, don't come after him. Like, do not come after him. I don't care what you think about it. I do hope, and I believe this will be the case, but I do hope, kind of like the Cracker Barrel thing, where you shouldn't change something that's going okay. Don't have anybody else come here and do the headgear thing next year or next week. Do not do it. This is his thing. That's it. You could pick a different gimmick, whatever it is, but don't do that. That's been his thing. Let that rest with Lee leaving the show. And I do just want to say, I never actually worked with Lee, even in the 7 years I was there, because he did College Game Day. We actually did some sports centers that preceded it, but I was never on College Game Day. So I never really interacted with him at all, but I did respect the work that he did, the personality that he was, what he brought to that show. And I wish him the best of luck after this, because I know it's hard. It's going to be hard for him probably to say goodbye to all of this.
Two things. I hope they bring him back for like the college football championship, like bring him back for maybe one pick a year, something like that, just to bring him in. Two, what I will say is College Game Day is in great hands. That is the closest show that ESPN has that touches NBA on TNT. And I know that show is going to be on ESPN eventually.
I agree.
But that show is just so good with the personalities that are there between Lee, between Pat McAfee, between Nick Saban, between Herb Street. It's a very, very good show. And so what I will say is this is like bowing out gracefully to me as well. That show's in great hands. So either way, like hell of a run for him. I'm glad to see it for at least one more time.
All right, everybody, have a great holiday weekend. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Bram Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.